A few days ago, I did a video on why the coronavirus is a serious crisis and how it is actually not overblown and it's not just a flu. And I also did another video in which I talked about how conservatives are the ones who are lying to people and telling people that the coronavirus is overblown and that, well, in the opinion of Glenn Beck, we should just send all of the boomers out to the workforce and it doesn't matter if they die. What matters is America's GDP. And a lot of you guys got upset with me because apparently a good number of you really believe that the coronavirus is a hoax. And some of you, in fact, quite a good number of American conservatives and right-wingers really believe that the coronavirus doesn't even exist and that all of this sickness is a result of Chinese 5G technology. Now, if you really want to believe that, and if you want to get angry with me for telling you that you are wrong, one thing that I would tell you is look at the ultra-Jewish Orthodox community in both the United States and in Israel. In Israel, the majority of coronavirus cases are in the Orthodox community. And there are millions of people in Israel who subscribe to Orthodox Judaism. And, they vary in their beliefs and they have different factions amongst themselves. Some are Orthodox and some are ultra-Orthodox and some are ultra-Orthodox. But within that whole strata of society, you have the majority of coronavirus cases in Israel. They did a whole series of tests in the Orthodox Jewish community and in Israel, and 1/3 of the Orthodox Jews who were tested had coronavirus. And it's probably a lot more now because, of all the time, from all the time that has passed since those initial tests were done. They say that half of the cases of coronavirus in Israel are in the Orthodox community. That's pretty huge. Now, why is so much coronavirus amongst the Orthodox Jews in Israel? Because the Orthodox Jews did not listen to the Israeli government when the government said to quarantine, to stay in your homes. They refused. They had a huge funeral for a famous rabbi, and thousands of these Orthodox Jews got together in the streets, and they didn't listen. They continued to go to the synagogues. They continued to go outside. They continued to go to their assemblies. They don't want to listen. And they will say that it is persecution against the Orthodox community. And I don't know how that makes any sense whatsoever, given the fact that all Israelis, Orthodox and non-Orthodox, atheist and religious, were told to self-quarantine. And then you have the Orthodox Jews who blame the Israeli government and say, well, they didn't tell us early enough, or they say, that they should have had the rabbis tell us about the coronavirus as opposed to the police. And all of that is just a giant excuse because even when the coronavirus was known and it was out and about and it was infecting people, these people were still refusing to listen and were still acting like contrarians. A lot of the Orthodox Jewish community in the United States have made the same mistake. So all of you people who are angry with me for telling you that the coronavirus is a serious situation, it is a serious pandemic, it should be taken seriously, it's not a hoax, it's not overblown, look at the Orthodox Jews in Israel. Look at them. They were just like you, and now they make up the majority of the coronavirus cases. Or half of the coronavirus cases, but the fact that half of the coronavirus cases are in the Jewish community, in the Orthodox Jewish community, it shows you that the biggest presence of coronavirus, if you look at the demographics of it all, is in that particular community. And they didn't listen. So if you want to get mad at me for telling you that COVID-19 is a serious crisis, be like the Hasids, be like the Haredi, be like these ultra-Orthodox Jews who didn't want to listen, who wanted to be contrarian, and they paid the price for it. They were told to close down the schools. There was one particular children's school in Israel in which the principal had COVID-19, and hundreds of children in the school, as a result, got infected with coronavirus. It's pretty nasty. So, if you think it's really a hoax, why don't you go to Kiryas Joel, which is the biggest Orthodox, Jewish Orthodox city or community in the United States. Go to Kiryas Joel in New York and hug a local. Hug as many locals as you can find. Hug them. Tell them that you support Israel and that you love Netanyahu. Hug them. It's really a hoax, right? It's not serious. Why don't you take a vacation to Kiryas Joel? Go stay in the finest hotel there. Enjoy the delicious cold-cut meats at the local deli. It's all a hoax. And there's one thing that I want to add into this video before I finish. Quarantining works. And there's a lot of people on the internet who are trying to make this whole thing into a conspiracy. And I agree that there's definitely room for being careful. There's definitely room for being suspicious about overreaching government power. There's definitely legitimate arguments to be made about how governments can implement policies for good reasons, but then use them for evil in the future. There's definitely an argument to be made for that. And so I'm not going to discount that. It's like 9/11 and the Patriot Act, or 9/11 and the Iraq War. But the bottom line is that we have a pandemic. Whether it was manufactured, whether it naturally popped up out of nature, in this context doesn't really matter. Because in this particular situation, what matters is that it can infect you and it can kill you, or it can kill your grandparents. And so quarantining works in this case. It works. And for those of you who say, well, it's only infecting, they'll say, well, there's 330 million people living in the United States, and only hundreds of thousands of people have it. See, it's not a big deal. There's hundreds of millions of people living in this country. The reason why it hasn't gone to the millions yet is because of quarantining. And it could actually go to the, as far as deaths go, it could rise up to the hundreds of thousands. And that's with quarantining. And the best case scenario is that tens of thousands of Americans will die. But still, imagine if none of us were quarantining. Imagine if we were all just living life as normal. Millions of us would get it, and millions would die. We've come a long way from the Black Plague. We've come a long way from the Black Plague. When the Black Plague popped up in the, I want to say, 1340s, people didn't understand quarantining. They didn't understand viruses. The microscopes, or the microscope, was not even invented. People didn't understand. I mean, in those days, people were like, people are dying, what's going on? There's a plague around, maybe it's a witch that did it. And then they killed a bunch of witches or whatever, and they're like, maybe it's the rats that did it. Or maybe it's the cats that did it. All the black cats bring bad luck, and they go out and they killed all the cats, and then boop, you have an influx of the rat population, and things get a lot worse. They didn't understand viruses. The first quarantine station in Europe was created in the 1370s. I want to say in the Italian island of Ragusa. And in this island, the government made a rule that any ships that dock, all the people in those ships have to be in the quarantine station for, if I remember correctly, 3 to 4 weeks. And they tried to enforce this law, but then eventually people got sick of it, and they were like, well, why am I staying in a quarantine law? I have all these things to ship. And so people got lax with the rules. They got lackadaisical, and what happened? The disease continued to spread because they didn't follow the procedures. The Renaissance writer Boccaccio writes in his book, The Demarcation, I think I'm saying that correctly. He writes in the introduction of this book an account of the Black Plague. And he said that hundreds of people would die in a single town every single day. The tombstones, not the tombstones, the graveyards were completely filled up to the point that they just had to dig a giant ditch and just throw bodies in there. That's how people were buried. There were no Catholic funerals. There were no proper funerals for individuals. People were just treated like dead cattle. And once you died, they would flop your body into a ditch, and that was it. And Boccaccio says that the way that people survived the Black Plague was they would go into their homes and they would lock the doors. Nobody would go out and nobody would come in. And whatever food they had in their pantries, whatever food they had in their lands, that's what they ate. They rationed and they survived. In other words, quarantining works. Don't follow these charlatans, these fanatics, these hirelings in the right-wing radio world who want you to think that it's all a conspiracy, who want you to think that it's all a hoax. Because if you do, you will die, or you will get infected and you will spread the virus to those that you love. And either they will get sick or they will die. You'll kill grandma, you'll kill grandpa. And you'll kill other people around you in your communities. It's not something you want to do. So, anyway, hope you guys have enjoyed this message. Hope you guys have learned something from this message. You guys just heard some theology. God bless.